What if I told you that the breakthrough you've been praying for hinges on one final test? This isn't just another challenge, it's the ultimate turning point that will either unlock your destiny or keep you stuck. Stay with me, chosen ones. Your future depends on passing this test. Let's dive straight into the heart of this message, chosen ones. We begin by understanding the test you're facing right now. It's not just any test. It's the final, decisive challenge standing between you and the destiny God has prepared for you. This is not about punishment. It's about preparation. It's God's way of molding you into the person He needs you to be so you can carry the blessings He set aside for you. Think about it. God doesn't give you dreams and promises without equipping you to fulfill them. But before you can step into your destiny, He must refine you. Why? Because the weight of your calling is heavy. Without proper preparation, the very blessings you prayed for could crush you. This is why the test is essential. It's not meant to destroy you. It's designed to strengthen and refine you. Let me give you an example from Scripture. Joseph. God gave Joseph dreams of greatness, visions of ruling and leading. But what happened next? He faced betrayal by his brothers, was sold into slavery, and spent years in unjust imprisonment. From the outside, it might have looked like God had abandoned him. But the truth is, every step was part of the preparation process. The palace wasn't ready for Joseph until Joseph was ready for the palace. God wasn't just preparing the throne for Joseph. He was preparing Joseph for the throne. Through the trials, Joseph developed patience, humility, and unwavering faith. When he finally stepped into his role as ruler, he was equipped to carry the weight of that responsibility with grace and wisdom. Similarly, the test you're enduring now is equipping you for the greatness God has in store for you. But let me tell you this, the test is non-negotiable. You can't pray it away. You can't avoid it. God's plan for your life includes this process because He knows that without it, you won't be ready to fully embrace your calling. Let me paint this picture clearly. The Israelites were delivered from slavery in Egypt by miraculous signs and wonders. God parted the Red Sea for them, fed them manna from heaven, and guided them with a pillar of fire. Yet, when they reached the wilderness, a place of testing, they doubted God's promises. They complained, grumbled, and even longed to return to Egypt. Because of their failure to trust and endure, they wandered for 40 years, delaying their entry into the Promised Land. What's the lesson here? Failing the test doesn't mean God abandons you, but it does mean you'll remain in a holding pattern. You'll revisit the same mountain over and over until you learn the lesson He's trying to teach you. This is why it's so important to embrace the process and pass the test. Otherwise, you risk delaying your breakthrough, your blessing, and your destiny. Now, I know what you might be thinking. How do I endure this? How do I pass a test that feels overwhelming? The answer lies in faith, endurance, and surrender. This test isn't about your strength or intellect. It's about your heart. Are you willing to trust God when the path ahead is unclear? Are you willing to endure when every fiber of your being wants to give up? Are you ready to surrender your fears and let God take the lead? Let's look at another example, Jesus Himself. Before Jesus began His ministry, He was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tested. For 40 days and nights, He fasted, faced hunger, and endured temptations from the devil. The wilderness was not a place of punishment, it was a place of preparation. During this time, Jesus' obedience was tested, His faith was solidified, and His mission was clarified. Without the wilderness, there would be no cross. Without the cross, there would be no resurrection. And without the resurrection, there would be no victory for you and me. If the Son of God had to endure the wilderness to prepare for His purpose, how much more must we? This should encourage you, chosen ones, because it means the wilderness you're in right now isn't a sign of God's absence. It's proof of His preparation. It's a testament to the greatness He's preparing you for. But here's the key. You must lean into the process. You can't resist the fire. You must embrace it. The fire will not consume you. It will refine you. It will burn away the fear, the doubt, the pride, and the disbelief that are holding you back. What remains will be a heart fully surrendered to God, a character that reflects His image, and a faith that is unshakable. Isaiah 48:10 says, "I have refined you, though not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction." This verse reminds us that the fire is not here to destroy us, but to transform us. It's the crucible in which God shapes us into vessels of honor, capable of carrying the glory and blessings He has prepared. And let me tell you something else. On the other side of this test lies more than just a blessing. It's your destiny. The dreams you've prayed for, the miracles you've been crying out for, and the doors you've been waiting to open, they're not being withheld. They're being prepared, and so are you. But more importantly, on the other side of this test is a stronger, wiser, and more faithful version of yourself. A version of you that can carry the weight of your calling without being crushed by it. The test is hard, I won't sugarcoat it. It will stretch you. It will challenge everything you thought you knew. But remember, God has already equipped you for this. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead lives within you. You're not fighting this battle alone. Heaven is backing you. This is why the test is non-negotiable. It's not just about receiving blessings, it's about becoming the person who can handle them. God's plan for you is too great to be carried by unrefined hands. He's shaping you, not to harm you, but to prosper you, to give you hope, and to lead you into the future He's planned for you. Some of you might feel stuck right now. You've been praying for a breakthrough, but it hasn't come. You've tried to move forward, but every door seems to stay shut. Can I be honest with you? It's because you haven't passed the test yet. God doesn't move us forward by skipping the lessons. If you haven't learned what He's trying to teach you, He'll bring you back to the same place, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Remember the Israelites? Their delay wasn't God's punishment. It was a result of their unwillingness to trust and obey. Don't let that be your story. Choose to trust God even when the process feels long. Choose to stand firm even when the journey is difficult. The wilderness is not your destination, it's the pathway to your promise. Let me say this loud and clear. The test is not here to defeat you, it's here to elevate you. Pass this test, and you'll break through the barriers that have held you back. Pass this test, and you'll step into the fullness of what God has for you. Pass this test, and you'll experience the joy, peace, and purpose that only come from walking in alignment with His will. You see, God's ultimate goal isn't just to bless you, it's to transform you. Blessings are secondary, your transformation is primary. God is crafting a heart that trusts Him completely, a character that reflects His image, and a faith that will not waver. He's not just shaping your circumstances, He's shaping your identity. So what awaits on the other side? Everything you've been praying for. The doors that seemed locked, the barriers that felt unmovable, the dreams that felt out of reach. They're not being withheld. They're being prepared. But more importantly, the person you're becoming is far greater than anything you could imagine. God is elevating you to a place where you can carry the weight of your calling with confidence and humility. But remember this, elevation always requires transformation, and transformation always requires testing. The test is the bridge between who you are now and who God has destined you to be. Don't run from it, don't despise it. Lean into it, embrace it, and trust the one who holds the fire. He's faithful, and He's preparing you for something far greater than you can see right now. Chosen ones, this is your moment. The test is hard, but it's not impossible. God has equipped you, strengthened you, and placed His Spirit within you. The question is not whether you can pass the test. The question is whether you will surrender your fears, trust God's plan, and allow Him to lead you through the fire. Stand firm, chosen ones. The fire is temporary, but the glory on the other side is eternal. Pass the test and step boldly into the destiny God has prepared for you. Your future is waiting. Are you ready to claim it,